say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the co-creation of this interaction through this gateway at this time. We will begin this transmission with the concept entitled patterns. Many of you will, if we may state this briefly, recognize that from time to time there are existing within any certain block of information patterns that may represent one's ability in perceiving those patterns to draw conclusions, to come to a certain perspective, to perceive certain things within that block of information that other individuals who cannot perceive the same patterns may not arrive at, may not come to the same conclusions of. In any given block of information that represents some particular truth, some particular perspective within the holographic reality of all that is, each and every particular block of information will have to some degree patterns within it that individuals will infer conclusions from, will perceive directions in. Now, the ability to perceive these patterns will, of course, always be based upon the individual's assumptions, beliefs, upbringing, perspectives. In other words, their mindset will determine whether they even have the ability to perceive what patterns might be there. And of course, conversely, an individual's mindset, the way they have been trained to think, the way they have been trained to see things, can sometimes also create the apparency of patterns that may not be there except as subjectively, but may not be perceived by anyone other than a single individual who perceives those particular patterns. So it is both directions. The inability to perceive patterns, where an individual may be able to look at a block of information and come to certain conclusions that they believe are simply obvious to anyone, will not be obvious to everyone. Because certain individuals, because of their mindset, may simply not have the capability or the capacity to see those patterns at all. This is quite common. It is really very common. If you have a block, a string of numbers, you will find that it will usually be relatively difficult for most individuals in your society to look at that string of numbers and see any immediate relevant pattern. However, you also know that there are individuals within your society who have a high degree of focus in certain ways that would allow them to instantaneously and immediately see the pattern within the string of numbers that the majority of individuals on your planet would have absolute difficulty in perceiving without much investigation. But this kind of inability exists and is embedded throughout your day-to-day conversations, and all the information that comes to you about any particular given event. There will be, in many of these blocks of information, patterns that will allow individuals to draw certain conclusions, to see certain avenues and certain paths of resolution or directions in which certain things may go that other individuals simply have not got a clue about because they simply do not have the mindset nor the capability to see such patterns. And again, conversely, there will be blocks of information that individuals will read many patterns into that no one else will be capable of seeing. Simply what is being said is that in any given communication, this must always be taken into account. That patterns exist only based upon, really, the perceptions of individuals, because any pattern, any kind of pattern, any path, any direction, will exist within the overall holographic wholeness of all that is. But what portion of that you perceive will always be ultimately determined by exactly your mindset, your perspective at any given moment, which of course can change from moment to moment. But simply remember to never assume that what you may not see at first, that does not mean it is not there. And conversely, that what you may see doesn't mean that it is for anyone but you. It is with these considerations, first and foremost, in any communication, that will allow an individual to begin to truly investigate the depth of meaning and find some degree of commonality or understanding in any relevant communication that is undertaken. If these ideas of pattern recognition will first be realized as the subjective level that they are, then this attitude first, this perspective first, will impose itself upon any such block of information and help individuals to realize the different degrees of patterns that can be perceived therein, or perhaps allow them to realize how it is possible that no pattern at all may be capable of being discerned by certain individuals whatsoever. We simply share this with you as an idea. And we now extend to each and every one of you once again our deep appreciation in allowing this communication and whatever attendant patterns may or may not come with it to occur. And in return for the gift that you give to us in allowing us to share this moment with you, I ask, in what way may I be of service to you?
Bashar.
You! Good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we extend to you, first of all, our deep appreciation in allowing this communication to occur in this way. Once again, each and every time your civilization allows this communicative link to be created between our respective worlds, it affords us an opportunity to experience an expansion of creation by being allowed to interact with each and every one of you and the unique perspective of the infinite that each and every one of you represent. So we thank you for this expansive gift of sharing. And we would like to begin this transmission this day of your time with the following idea that we would like to call respecting your choices. We have, over the time that we have been communicating with your world, listened to many of you talking about the choices that you have made in certain circumstances that bring about certain kinds of consequences. And we hear from time to time many of you bemoaning the choices that you have made, bemoaning the consequences that arise from those choices. In the following manner, usually, oh, I've made a bad choice. Now I have something I don't want. This is wrong. This is bad. This is not going to get me where I want to be. And so on, and other variations of that idea and that theme. But please understand that when you do not respect the choices that you make, no matter what they are, then you are not respecting yourself. For the choices are intimately bonded to who you are at that moment, and are the result of who you know yourself to be at that moment. They are at that moment, for all intents and purposes, the best that you can do, the best that you know how to choose, and thus you must respect them if you are to respect yourself. And by disrespecting the choices that you make, by assuming that the choices that you make are bad or wrong, then you are in some sense judging yourself, finding yourself lacking, coming up short, being yourself bad or wrong, and not giving yourself the due respect that would allow you to understand how to extract from the consequences of any choice the information and the experience that you need in order to create what it is you prefer. Now again, let me remind you, let us listen to that word, prefer. You can recognize that the consequence of a particular choice may not be what you prefer. But that doesn't mean the choice and the consequence was bad or wrong, just because it may not have resulted in what you prefer. The idea, again, is that when many of you talk about certain choices and their consequences being bad or wrong, and thus are disrespecting yourself, you are also making the assumption that the circumstance that has resulted from the choice you have made is somehow incapable of connecting you to what you want, and this is not true. Every single choice you make and every single consequence that results from that choice has equal capability with any other choice and consequence of still connecting you to what you prefer. But you will not see that it does. You will not experience that it has the ability to make that bridge for you to what you prefer if you devalue it and disrespect it in the way that many of you have been taught to do. Again, this simply comes down to, once again, that if you are not of the vibration, you will not see the things that are germane to the reality that goes hand in hand with that vibrational frequency. So when you devalue a choice that you have made, when you disrespect it, when you say it is no good, then you are actually robbing yourself, in a sense, of the ability to see how that choice might contain the doorway, the link, the bridge to what it is you do prefer. You are simply removing its value to you and saying that it has absolutely no capacity whatsoever to open up a doorway in the direction that you prefer. But all choices are connected to all other choices. All consequences, all circumstances, and all situations are connected to all others. Why? We have talked about this many times. The answer is because all circumstances are here and now. There is no such thing as, in a sense, over there or back then. Those are illusions of your physical reality. They are as real as you want to put stock in them to be. But the idea really is that all situations are the same situation from a different point of view. Remember, many of you, when you see someone else that you deem to be having what you prefer, deem to be successful, they have their own doorway that they have walked through in order to manifest what they have manifested as a result of the choices they have made. And many of you assume that what you want is their doorway. But you don't want their doorway. You want your doorway. Because only by walking through your doorway, the one patterned after you with your name on it, will you be capable of then creating or attracting or manifesting your version of that so-called success, your version of that so-called manifestation. If you attempt to use their doorway, it will not work because their doorway is tailored to them. Now, here again is the secret. Their doorway and your doorway are the same doorway. The same doorway, not the same kind of doorway, the same doorway. But yours is seen from your angle, from your perspective. It has your quality, it has your reflection, it has your characteristics. And the same doorway for them, for the other person, simply reflects their characteristics. It is not a different doorway. You have the same doorway to walk through, the same avenues of opportunity, the same conduits as everyone and anyone in creation. But it's not going to appear to be the same because it's going to be colored with your reflection so that it will work for you. You don't want theirs. You want yours. You want to understand who you are. You want to respect yourself so that you can see who you are in the doorway, so that you can allow the doorway, the mirror of reality, to show you who you are. If you disrespect yourself, you devalue your doorway. You do not see the reflection that is there for you. You do not see how to use it. You cannot understand how to walk through it in the same way that someone else understands how to walk through their version of it. And you cannot then reap the manifestation that comes from walking through and going to the other side of it. So please, as a strong suggestion, do not devalue and disrespect yourself by disrespecting the choices that you make and the consequences that result therefrom. Learn and understand that every choice is connected to every other, that every circumstance is connected to every other, and every circumstance, if you choose to look at it without judgment, but with acceptance, acknowledgement, allowance, and love, and creativity, and imagination, and inspiration, will be capable, in its own way, yes, but in its own way, will be capable of showing you how it contains all the same opportunities to connect and manifest to anything else you want. Even though it may take a certain colorization, a certain characterization, just because it's coming from that perspective doesn't matter, doesn't mean that it can't do it. You have to learn to accept it so that you can learn to read its particular characteristics and symbols. But every situation is connected to every other and has the ability and has the capability of bringing to your attention the appropriate information to allow you to connect, to allow you to slide, to allow you to shift to any other and every other kind of situation that you may prefer to manifest. And if you start looking at every situation that way, you will see how they are all one and the same, but simply look different because they are nothing more than a different perspective, angle, or point of view of the same one thing. Because again, remember, there is only here, there is only now, there is only one moment. And in that one moment, that is the eternal existence, all things happen. Therefore, all things are all other things in a different disguise, from a different perspective, from a different point of view. There is only one creation, but it looks different from every angle you can look. Know that there is one, act like there is one, don't devalue any manifestation of it, and you will see how any manifestation connects you to any other manifestation because all are the same thing. Does that make sense to you? All right. We thank you for allowing us to share this perspective. We know it will work if you choose to adopt it into your reality and adapt it to your personal needs. You don't have to take our word for it. You can get the result if you utilize this tool, if you utilize this attitude and perception. This is not philosophy, remember now. This is physics. This is the way the reality creation works. You can use it. You can get the same result as anyone. We do not insist that you use it. We are not telling you what to do. We have our own lives to live. We do not want to live yours, but we are strongly suggesting that if this is what you have asked for in terms of what can I use, what tool, what perspective can I understand so that I can treat myself with respect in the moment and live in the moment and experience my reality as a manifestation of the moment, this is one of the tools that can work for you if you take it to heart and apply it in your behavior day by day, every moment of your life. It's up to you to find out, but I guarantee if you use it, it will work. But it's up to you. Now, once again, in return for allowing our civilization the great gift of this sharing with your civilization, I ask in return, in what way may I and my world be of service to you? You, that all situations and circumstances within your physical experience, your day-to-day reality, are basically neutral props in relation to each other with no inherent meaning within them other than the meaning that you give them. Everything being blank, empty, neutral, allows you, by giving the appropriate meaning, to extract from that circumstance the effect that you desire. As we have indicated, positive meaning in, positive effect out, negative meaning in, negative effect out. Simple physics, simple mechanics. Now let us take this understanding a little bit further. We have discussed the idea that what you experience to be your physical reality, in a sense, is a combination of vibratory frequencies. This combination of vibratory frequencies represents all the probable or potential realities there can possibly be. They all exist right now, right here, all at once. They form what can be called the background reality, so to speak. Not that there is any one real reality any more real than any other. Not that there is one truth against which to measure other realities for their validity or truth. But the reality is the composite of all realities, all truths, in what you may call a holographic fashion. Overlaid, intertwined, interwoven. In a sense, laying in wait for a specific stimulus to bring to the surface of that general background any particular reality that you may choose to call a dimension of experience or a universal realm. Now, how you call those particular vibratory frequencies to the surface and allow yourselves to experience that particular reality is through your beliefs, through your attitudes, through the vibration you create yourself to be. through, for all practical intents and purposes, the meaning you choose to give to the idea of a fundamentally homogeneous background. Through the meaning you create, do you then actually create the physical reality you experience? So in a sense, it is not so much the experience that gives rise to meaning, it is meaning that gives rise to the experience. When you project yourself into physiological reality and determine as a non-physical consciousness that you will create certain types of experiences, that is the meaning you are giving to that particular life you are creating, that particular aspect you are creating for yourself as a non-physical entity to experience as a limited, physically focused entity. It is that meaning, that overall desire, that then vibrates at a certain frequency and then calls out of the background vibration through a sympathetic synchronization all the circumstances necessary that represent the meaning you have injected into the general life theme or structure that you are about to live as a physical being. Is all of this making some sense so far? All right. Simply put, the idea is that all circumstances are neutral. The meaning you choose to believe, the meaning you choose to create in life, about your life, is what generates the particular types of circumstances you experience to reinforce and reflect and represent the meanings you are creating. Giving meaning is the actual act of creation itself. To give meaning to something is to create it into existence in your particular experiential realm. Nothing has built-in meaning. There are no inherent meanings in anything. All vibratory realities are simply a neutral set of circumstances in relation to one another, to some degree representational of a type of crystal lattice work that represents the overall holographic experience of all reality, of all creation. But the meaning that you generate within your attitude, the idea that you create within the being that you are, is what generates the type of frequency that then pulls out of the homogeneous background all the experiences that then represent the meaning of your life. Many of you, as you have discussed with us, go through life searching for the meaning of your life. But you see, your life is created simply by the meaning you give to it. So when you are searching for the meaning in that sense, you are chasing your own tail in many ways. The idea is to recognize, as we have discussed, that you have the power of conscious commandment, the ability to make decisions consciously that you know are decisions that represent the life you prefer to live. And then when you give your life that meaning, that is the style of life you experience. For the vibration that you are will pull out of that background all the circumstances literally, all the situations literally, all the relationships literally, all the objects literally that represent the meaning, the vibrational resonance, the harmonic you have given to your life. You have given to the circumstances that you have generated through the initial meaning that you had, which created the spontaneous creation of your life to begin with as a physical being, as a physical entity. So simply allow yourselves to know you are the definers, ultimately, of the life you experience. And as you define it, as you give it meaning, your life takes on only, and can only take on, the colorations and the characteristics and the flavors and the atmospheres of the meaning you decide your life will have. And that is what you will see reflected in the holographic background, the matrix of all universal probable reality. The idea we have also discussed is that everything is synchronicity. Everything is interconnected with everything else. This is a part of the holographic weave. Every single portion of the whole contains the total information of the whole. Every single area is representative of all creation. Everything is all here, all now. So whatever vibratory frequency you are on determines what aspects, what faces, what facets of the total reality that is right here that you will see and experience as your life. So the way to generate most easily the particular vibratory frequency of the life you prefer is to give your life the meaning you prefer to give it, and to cease to assume that the situations that occur in your life intrinsically come with a meaning that you may not like. There is no reason to play victim in this. There is no reason to assume that you are assigned a meaning in life and that you have to stick with that idea, that you have to live that out, even if it is a struggle, even if it is a suffering. When you decide what meaning your life has in that sense, what your life is to be represented by, what attitudes, what actions, what preferences, what knowledge, what applications you decide are pertinent to who you are, you give your life the meaning that it can then take its clue from and pattern itself after. Looking for the meaning in the events as they occur, in a sense, is after the fact. Give your life the meaning you prefer to give it, and it will conform in all aspects to the meaning you have decided it shall have. You all understand? Well, thank you very much. At this timing, allow us once again to extend to each and every one of you our utmost appreciation and joy in your willingness to interact with us, in your willingness to function as ambassadors to your civilization, and allowing me to function as an ambassador from our respective civilizations and the association of worlds. And in return for the gift of your sharing, I ask you simply now, how may I serve you?
Good evening, Bashar.